Shalom. Thank you for listening to episode 3 now of the Cave podcast. And this one is entitled, what, Elisha?
How to respond to disrespect.
How to respond to disrespect. Again, my name is Sharaf Jason Wilson.
I'm Elisha Nunn.
To my left and to my right, we have a special guest, Cave recruit. What's your name, sir?
Josiah Humphrey.
Josiah Humphrey. How old are you, Josiah?
14.
Good, 14 years old. And so I guess the talking point we could use is, of course, what happened that the whole world saw was Brother Will Smith walking on stage and assaulting Brother Chris Rock. Now, after that had happened, typically I'm in bed around 10 o'clock because I get up early. But that night I stayed up to about 12:30 in the morning. I was grieved and saddened to see how all of that played out for the world to see. What hit me is what we do in the cave. You know, we teach, train, and transform boys into comprehensive men of the Most High, men who are physically conscious, mentally astute, but spiritually strong enough to navigate through the pressures of this world without succumbing to their negative emotions. Unfortunately, we saw Brother Will succumb to his negative emotions, or we can just say emotions. As a married man of 24 years now, I understand why he was angered, why he was upset. He actually initially laughed at the joke, as we saw, but when he saw his wife was offended and upset, like any loving husband, he wanted to do something about it. I've been asked countless times on social media, been tagged, or they ask me, what would you have done? You know, they want to become a comprehensive man. And since pretty much I've coined that saying or that phrase, it was just best for me to give an answer. And so if it was me and a comedian had said something to Nicole that was offensive, in that moment, I would not have walked on stage and assaulted him or slapped him. However, I would have waited for the event or the show to be over and pulled him aside and expressed truly how I felt with my wife with me. And considering basically those two men know each other, and there's actually history there. And Chris Rock had actually, I think it was 2016, had said something about Jada and Will before. So there was some history there. But knowing that those two men know each other, it's probably a good chance that Chris Rock would apologize backstage or at that after party. You agree or no?
Yes, sir.
We just want to have a conversation about, you know, especially for young boys. I'm pretty sure you guys been in situations where you could have knocked someone out of school, right, for saying something. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Or done anything, you know, someone, just any type of verbal assault. And you felt like you wanted to do something. Have you, either of you ever experienced that where you wanted to hurt someone but you didn't?
Yes, sir.
Give me an example. One of you.
I remember I was at the summer camp and I was dealing with alopecia, the same thing Jada is dealing with. And basically what they were talking about.
What is alopecia?
Alopecia is, excuse me, alopecia is a hair loss. I don't know all about it, but I know sometimes it can be temporary. Sometimes it can be permanent. And I don't know Jada's condition. I don't know if it's permanent or temporary, but mine was temporary. And basically, this kid, he was like, he would make fun of me. I kind of ignored it, but then he got like real direct. He said like, I can't remember what he said, but he said I could fit a whole back. I had this like big gap in my head. It was bad, but he said I could fit a whole like volleyball on that. And of course, he was like my size, and me and him, if I wanted to fight him, I could have fought him, and I probably could have won. I confronted him on it calmly after I calmed him down, and from that period of time where I was around him, we were cool. I felt like since then I've kind of tried to walk with this type of attitude that if I just confront somebody on it peacefully, I can just figure it. I can figure something out. I can figure out a middle ground, and me and you can still be cool instead of physically assaulting them or getting angry and all of that.
Excellent. How do you think it would have played out if you would have slapped him?
If I slapped him, I probably would have gotten in a big fight. I probably would have gotten in trouble. He had his boys. It was like both of my friends and his friends were kind of in a group, but we knew like who we were cool with pretty much. And we probably could have gotten a big fight, all of that. We could have gotten in trouble. My friends could have gotten in trouble. His friends could have gotten in trouble, all of that. That we would have had this type of beef with each other. Of course, we were little or younger, so it wasn't very like serious, but still, it was like this type of beef around each other.
How old were you?
I believe I was like 13.
That's not young. Well, we have a saying, we say bullets don't tap out. And typically say we win a fight. Does that mean the fight is over where we grew up at?
No, sir.
No, that means his boys, like you were saying, they'll come back. And boys at 13 and 12 years old, even younger, carry guns now. That's why it was important that I initiated this discussion, because a lot of young boys look up to Will Smith. And with all of the comments on social media, especially from a lot of men saying that was the right thing to do, that could be very dangerous for a young boy who grows up in, an urban community where there are a lot of guns and gangs. Do you understand how that can be deadly?
Yes, sir.
So I give you props for that, Elisha, for doing that. You were in the cave then, yeah.
Yes.
So you knew some restraint, which I'm proud. I never heard that story, but I'm proud of you that you did that. Josiah, do you have an example?
It was one time in middle school where I was confronted by this older classmate that I had. And we were friends at first, but he did something that made me like want to not want to be friends with him no more.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of days earlier, he said something to me about like a problem that I had with learning. Like it wasn't like a problem. I just learned slower than other people. It took more time for me to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something about my mom. Said that, your mom is dumb, so that means you dumb. So I don't typically fight people unless they say something about my mom. So when he said that about my mom, I stood up and I hit him, and I got suspended for that day. And my mom was disappointed in me, and I didn't understand why, because I asked her, like, wouldn't she want me to like do something about it if he said something about you? He said no, because in this world, a lot of people gonna say things about people that you love, but you can't just automatically like act out and like hurt them, because you're not gonna get expelled or suspended in the world. You could get shot or killed.
That's excellent. That's excellent advice from your mother. And, thanks for sharing. I appreciate your transparency, because that's what Brother Will Smith probably was feeling. You understand? So he went up there and did what you did and hit Chris Rock. And because of that, he has many ramifications because of that action. You understand what I mean? And so at the end of the day, you were suspended, you said?
Yes, sir.
What do you do now if someone talks about your mom? Did you learn from that? Did you change the way you think and your perspective? Do you respond differently?
I do respond differently, but I'm very tempted to like fight if you talk about my mom, because the older that I got, like my surroundings, people say like even deeper things if they want to like mess with your head or like get into your head. So it's more tempting, but I learned how to like put my anger in a place where I could control myself and not like act out and get in even deeper trouble.
So let's dig a little deeper there. Many psychotherapists believe that Will Smith's actions came from a deeper place, that he didn't just slap Chris Rock, that it was much deeper than that.
Definitely.
All right, so for you, no one likes anyone to talk about their mom. That's very clear. But after your mother say don't do anything, and she's right, you could slap someone or punch someone and you can get shot and killed, retaliation. So if you don't listen to the wisdom in that, typically death or harm will follow. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So I want to ask you, man, we're going to dig a little deeper. After your mother told you don't do that, and you even see the wisdom in it, why do you think that you still will respond the same way?
Because I would say that because like I have a lot of anger built into me, and I don't get chances to like let it out.
That's
so,
good.
Like in situations where I see an opportunity to let it out, it would be tempting for me to like respond physically or verbally, but yeah.
That's great self-reflection, bro. That's it, Josiah. I called you bro and you my son's age. But that's great self-reflection. You understand? So now you're seeing the cause and effect to your behavior, because it doesn't make sense for me to slap someone for saying something that's not true, for one. It's not accurate. So it has to come from a different place. Now, in Will Smith's case, you can see why he was upset, because no one knows the conversation they even had before going to the Oscars. Maybe Jada, and this is just an assumption, maybe Jada wasn't feeling confident about the way she looked. A friend of mine, his wife has leukemia. She lost all her hair, and going through a lot, and the stress of that on her, and then him trying to love her through that. He said he couldn't imagine someone saying that about her, even though he still wouldn't have went up there to slap the guy. It still would have tested him mentally and emotionally. So for you to have this anger, like you say, that you can't release, it's possible that Brother Will Smith had that, right? Can you just trace real quick? It could be several places where this anger is coming from. Can you just tell me one?
Absent father.
Absent father, good. So can you give us some background on that? Like, I know, but for the listener right now, what happened to your first dad? Why, he just wasn't there.
Right.
Okay. Second, you got a stepfather, beautiful man, Jeff, beautiful father figure. He wasn't your biological, but like I say with stepfathers, a stepfather is a man who stepped up. What happened to Jeff?
He passed away.
He passed away. And that was very tragic for your family. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. And what's deep, man, that anger, it prohibited you from seeing the truth that he loved you. Remember, we talked about that in the cave. And what was deep, Josiah, is that it hit you because you didn't know that. That's what happens when we allow anger to fester, or trauma to time travel. When we allow it, we give it permission to stay in the present, we live in that type of state of mind, a traumatized state of mind. And I never forgot when me and Sharaf Chris told you in class that Jeff loved you, and we told you about how much he would call. He would call me, man, and say, man, Jay, should I do this with him? Should I have him do that? And it hit you and you started crying. What brought those tears, man?
Because, I didn't know that he loved me. I thought he was just trying to, give up my mom and stuff. So
he married your mom. He committed to her.
Yeah, I know, but still, I still wasn't comfortable around it. So
that's why in the cave we allow you that safe space where you can talk. So for you, Elisha, I remember it was a tough period in your life, and I got a picture of us still. It was on video, and we were praying after training, and you were crying. I didn't know what was going on at the time. And, did you experience any time in your life where that anger or hurt or lack of control affected your decision making?
One of the things that I did, man, so before, of course, I've had my mom and father had divorced. Pretty much I was very irritable for a while. And some of the things I would do is when Dwayne would irritate me, I get in fights with him.
Dwayne, your brother?
Dwayne, my older brother, yes. I get in fights with him, or I push Jeremiah around when I was irritated because it's
Jeremiah, your little brother.
Little brother. Because it's he can't do nothing. When my sisters would irritate me, I would yell at them. It's when somebody would talk about my hair or something I did or something that happened, instantly I would be pissed off. And in that situation, I would have hit somebody because I was so fed up. I was surprised that I didn't hit Caleb, which was the dude's name who volleyball. But I was surprised. So that's one thing that that's a series of things. I can't really say it specifically. That's a series of things that happened after the anger build up.
So do we see how, anger itself isn't bad. So let me make myself clear. All right. It is written that be angry. The scripture says, be angry, but do not sin. It's a real fine line between the two. And actually, anger is what sparked many great movements of change around this entire world. The problem is when we have unresolved anger, that anger that's not good for us, like the anger you're speaking of or the anger you're speaking of, or the anger I had when my father wasn't there. You know, I would take out things on my wife and had no idea it was because of the father wound I had. And I had to do some real deep work so that I can increase my capacity. Because what happens, especially as men, what happens is, in boys, our capacity gets full. Basically, we take on so much. We don't, like you were saying, Josiah, we don't take time to release the anger, the frustration, the sadness, the depression, those thoughts before they become toxic. So what happens when we already feel it to hear? Someone just says one little thing, and now we're punching, we're kicking, we're fighting, we're shooting, we're stabbing. And that's the problem. And that's why we react to disrespect, but we don't respond to disrespect. So a response in that scenario with Will Smith, because if Nicole, my wife, we were in a comedy, just say we were at the Oscars, and the documentary that's coming out on the Cave with Lawrence Fishburne, say we were winning an award or something, and the comedian says something very disrespectful to Nicole, and we're in the front row. I allow myself a moment to process what's going on, like Doctor Strange. We all seen Infinity War, right?
Yes, sir.
Remember when Thanos was coming, he was sitting there meditating in the air, and he was like processing all of these scenarios. What's the best response for this incoming threat? He had to pick the one that was what?
The one that will succeed.
Yeah, advantageous for them. But to the world, it looked like what? He was weak, right? He punked out, right? Mm-hmm. So Will Smith, just like many other men I know who were in that situation and responded like him. When the last time you seen an action movie with two brothers, regardless of ethnicity, reconciled their beef without fighting or shooting at each other? Can you name me a movie?
I'll see.
No. In hip hop, it's very rare when there's beef. It's very rare that you will see two rappers reconcile without putting out diss tracks, shooting each other up. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So the culture itself programs us as men to pretty much handle conflict the way Will did. Am I correct? I mean, I want you guys to talk.
Yes,
what do you
sir.
think? Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? That's how we supposed to do it. So when someone says, don't you think he could have handled it a different way? Yeah, of course. But when you look at the way we're programmed as men to be men, that is the very definition. Someone say, oh, someone disrespects your wife, oh, go blow their mouth out, right?
Right.
I want to expose the deception of what a real man is, this world's definition of one. Because if we keep continuing to try to resolve conflict with conflict, there'll continue to be situations like we saw at the Oscars. There'll continue to be more bodies in the city morgue. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And so let me ask you a question. Between the two, who do you think responded the best? Will Smith or Chris Rock?
Chris Rock.
Why do you say Chris Rock, Josiah?
Because he didn't swing back, basically. He took it like he didn't respond with violence. He just like played it off, basically.
But the world say that's weak, you know what I mean? Everybody tell me, if I was Chris Rock, I'd have sweat, I would have slapped him, I'd have wrecked him. He wouldn't have did that to me.
Yeah, but I think that he saw it, the situation was going to get even worse. If they started fighting on the stage, security,
it would have been a mess, wouldn't it?
Basically.
It was like just pure shock and confusion.
Yeah, a lot of people say he shouldn't have had his hands behind his back, but he's a host at the Oscars. Why shouldn't he have his? He ain't out here on Linwood and Davidson. You know what I mean? He's a host at the Oscars. He knows Will Smith. Will Smith walking towards him, like, man, the last thing you thinking, this brother gonna hit me on live TV. One of the scriptures I want to bring to this conversation is Proverbs. Let's go Proverbs 25:28. A person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. And as we know, in ancient times, the city was protected by a wall, a barrier to keep invaders from coming in, or the enemy. What this is actually saying is that a man, it actually says a man in some translations, without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. Someone could say something to you and you don't have no self-control. You go out and slap them or punch them. I've seen guys get set up this way so that the guy who caused the beef had a reason to kill him. A man without self-control is like a city without walls. Basically, anyone could penetrate you, your mind, your emotions, and get you to become what they need you to become. And I put it in real life. I had a job, and I talk about this in my book, Battle Cry. I had a supervisor, really, he was a cool guy, but at times he could be very rude and disrespectful. So Josiah, I came, he asked me to get this boardroom together or a meeting room together because the higher ups in the school were going to come and have this meeting. I had the tablecloth out, coffee, everything set up because I was just a facilities manager. I forgot to lock the door. One of the high schoolers got in and started writing on the tablecloth, profanity. He calls me, Jason, come over to building such and such. I need to see you right now. When I walk in, here are all the higher ups, the people in high positions in the charter school, and he starts berating me like a child. Pulled the tablecloth up, held it up like this, man, and said, look at this. Because you left the door open, this happened. This and that. This and that. This and that. Straight up disrespecting me, man. I'm a grown man, and you disrespecting me in front of not only the leadership of the school, but I knew a few of them. I looked at him, processed what I was feeling, and I said, you know what? You're right. I won't say his name. I said, I'm sorry, sir. This will never happen again. Because at the end of the day, was he right or wrong about what he was saying?
Oh, he was right about
he was
what
right.
Saying, yes.
I should have been more responsible and made sure that door was locked, right?
Yes, sir.
Was he wrong for talking to me that way?
Yes.
If I would have cursed him out or slapped him, who you talking to? Wow. I would have lost my job. That means my family lose their insurance. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So I controlled my emotions. Let me fast forward. So I walk out the room. As I was walking to the building, another building, I hear him call my name, Jason, Jason. And I go back to him. I say, hey, what's going on? He says, hey, I want to apologize to you for how I treated you up there or how I spoke to you. And I said, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't, I'm like, whatever, man. Mm-hmm. He says, no, the leadership in that meeting took 10 to 15 minutes straight up checking him for the way he spoke to me. What made that possible? It was my response. I didn't act emotional. I put it all on him, and he apologized like repeatedly. I'm sorry. I was an a-hole up there. That's what happens when you have some self-control. Because as you men grow up, the young men grow up, you're going to be in situations where you're going to have to make a decision like that. And I don't want you to be like a lot of men out here who egos get in the way and pride or their trauma, something that happened in the past. They say, that ain't going to never happen to me again. If someone else ever speak to me like that, I'm doing this. Don't ever make a vow like that. Because you're programming your brain to basically, you're fixed on a response instead of allowing yourself to process the best decision to be made in that situation. We understand. All right, you guys got anything else you want to say before we close?
Yeah, I do want to say, I guess it's another reason why he did slap him, because I think he felt like embarrassed, like in front of his woman. Like normally, like when we was kids, like if he was like when he was younger, like if you're gonna say something, right, you just gonna say something to my woman in front of me, in front of her, and I'm not gonna do nothing. Like when he gets back home, like he probably gonna feel like she gonna say something like So you just not gonna do nothing about that? Like with me, I would feel weird. Like I would feel,
Soft, weak.
yeah, soft. Like people gonna think of me like you soft. You gonna let this man? You gonna say something to your girl like that?
Now, again, let me reiterate. He should address Chris Rock. He couldn't leave the Oscars without saying something to Chris about offending his wife. Don't get me wrong. You don't go home with that one. That's how you create unresolved anger. Do you understand? Because you angry right now. You angry. But no, I'm not gonna say nothing. That happens to a lot of adults where we experience bad customer service and we don't call the manager or tell that staff person, hey, I don't like the way you're speaking to me. We get in the car. Next thing you know, we're cussing and mad. I should have said something to them. I hate myself for not saying something.
Yeah, you don't gotta be soft about it. You could just be like you could say what you want to say. Just be smart about it. Like don't be dumb. It's like start cussing them out in front of them. Like be smart about it. Like work out the situation as best as possible.
And that only happens, Josiah, when we learn how to become verbal processors. But you can't process it verbally if you've never go introspectively or basically deal with what's going on inside of you. So yes, you're right. Will Smith shouldn't have went home now and not done anything. After the awards, he won the Oscar, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, for Best Actor. Show over. Hey, Chris, I need to holler at you for a minute. Walk over there with Jada. They already know each other. Say, hey, man, I don't even want to go home with this. And I don't even feel comfortable smiling in your face. I don't even want to go to the party right now until I address this with you. Your words offended my wife. Hurt her. You don't even know what we deal with or she has to deal with every time she wakes up and see that all of her hair is gone. And I want to let you know that joke offended me and I'm very angry right now. And I would give the brother an opportunity to respond. Let me close on this, and I meant to tell this story. To me, this is what's a threat when my wife is in danger, when I have to respond vigilantly. One day, Nicole calls me, out of breath, scared, and says, Jason, this guy is following me. And I'm like, yo, where are you? And she told me. I dropped the phone. I think I still had my pajamas on or shorts, and it was wintertime. I get in the car, race to where she is. I pull up, and I see her standing, and I see the guy outside of this gas station holding coffee. And my wife looks worried. I get out the car, tell her to get in the car. I then make sure that she's safe. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm going to be transparent because my following actions I didn't have to do. But because of the anger, I would say even the fear of my wife's safety, I needed to let this man know that whenever you see that woman right there, brother, I need you to walk in the other direction. I said, man, was you following my wife? Well, no, man. I said, no, man. So now you calling my wife a liar. I said, let me tell you something. I said, don't you ever, you see that woman right there? Whenever you see her, I need you to walk in the other direction. I didn't have to lay a hand on him or anything. He felt the seriousness from me. Many people say, man, I understand that. You want to let him know. What if he would have said, F your wife, dog? Where you think that could have gone? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Once my wife got in the car and she was safe, my action of racing there and dropping everything I did to save her or to make her feel safe was enough. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's why we always have to guard ourselves against our egos and false pride. So everyone listening, everyone watching, we thank you. We hope this conversation is one you can use to speak with your sons, or even as adults talk to each other about, what's the best way to respond to disrespect? Or even, I would say, since we dropped some scriptures, the godly way, the righteous way to respond, so that we can always be in the Most High's will. All right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, we going. And thanks again for listening. And we coming back, episode 4.
Sexual self-control.
You want to do that one?
Yes,
Okay.
for sure.
Episode 4. You going to come for that one, Josiah?
Yes,
So the next episode will be called Sexual Self-Control. And we thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And we look forward to seeing you. Well, not seeing you. We can't see them. We look forward to having that conversation. All right. Shalom alaikum.
Alaikum shalom.